Y'all, I tried not to do it, but I had to. I had no choice, okay? It's your girl Sherelle Unique here. I'm here to review Married at First Sight, season 12, episode 7. But really I'm late to the party, y'all, so I'm gonna really be reviewing this whole doggone situation. And I named this Paige and Chris and the others because really I'm gonna be talking about Paige and Chris. That's mainly who I'm here to talk about. I'll mention the others for y'all, but this is a train wreck, okay? People say like God won't give you more than you can bear. That is not biblical because I believe that God absolutely will give you more than you can bear. And this show proves that. This show proves it, okay? Um doggone. So it's funny because it started off where my grandma calling me and asking me would I ever want to go on this show. Um and I'm like, Grandma, never. I would never do this. I really don't even understand why people do this. People don't realize like how many hangups and how many expectations they have of others when it comes to like getting married and being in a relationship. I know I have so many hangups, so many expectations, so many little things about myself that the other person's going to have to be able to deal with, and vice versa. That I'm like, how could this work? How could it work? Um, so as I'm delving into it, I decide to watch episode 6 and 7, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch this. So I binge watched from episode 1 all the way to where we are now. And I'm thinking that people watch it, people join the show, want to skip the dating process. If I join the show and I make it on the show, it's a ready-made spouse. I don't have to go through all the dating, the what's your favorite color questions. I don't gotta go through any of that stuff. I can go right to being married. Number 2, I think it is like a sense of control. Like you're taking control over the situation. You're also relinquishing control in a bit because you are allowing the experts to choose the person, but you're taking control like in the being done with the dating life scene. I think also, if you got a lot of BS with you, like for instance, Virginia knows she's a drinker, she knows she's a partier, she knows that, um, Jacob knows he's from the 80s, you know, if you got a lot of hangups with you, Married at First Sight is kind of cool because that person is stuck with you now. They stuck with you and all your BS. And you don't gotta worry about nobody jumping ship prematurely. So I don't know. If y'all can think of some more reasons why people would, other than wanting to get the exposure and put their brand out there, let me know why people go on this show. Please tell me. I will be discussing some of the whys with Paige and Chris specifically. But it's just like, I don't know. Alright, so I went back to episode 1, right? Because I wanted to, when I binge watched it, I was like, why are we here? So I went to episode 1. And I mainly watched the Paige and Chris situation. Now let's start with Paige. Paige is 26, very successful woman, beautiful woman. She's body goals. She is career goals. She's all of that. So, and y'all know I got notes. I'm gonna be, because I'm scribbling on some bills, y'all. As I'm watching, some of her whys was, she's ready now. She said, I'm ready now. She was dating other people. They might vibe, but she's ready now, so why waste time? She wanted to love somebody despite their flaws, despite their breath stinking in the morning, despite any kind of flaws that person might have. She really felt like this was like her destiny, that God had created her to be a spouse and to love somebody else. And she said that ever since she was a little girl, she wanted to be married. Like, she was a little kid playing with Barbies. Her thing was she wanted to be married, right? These things was really telling to me when I watched episode 1, because I'm like, and I'm gonna tell y'all some stuff from episode 1, and I'll get to episode 7. But this was so telling to me when it comes to the why. Where is she at psychologically? Where is she at mentally? Where is she at spiritually to make her want to do this show and to make her want to stay with this situation? And she said she wanted to be with somebody through thick and thin. I mean, girl, you definitely got that. She said God cultivated me to find love. That's what she said. Yeah. When she started this process, she was upbeat. She was smiling. She was jovial. And yeah, you could tell that she was ready, and she did come in this with a pure heart. She told her family, y'all, and I don't know if that's her cousin, but she straight up rolled her eyes like, nope, Her brother was trying to tell her, like, she's saying she's gonna let the spirit lead her. Yeah, okay. Her brother was trying to tell her, like, what if his feet stink? What if he doesn't make any money? Like, what if... People always want to call me while I'm doing this. I don't know why. It's a given. Like, it's like they know. It's like they know. That's my aunt. She's the reason why I'm watching this show. So I'll call her back. Her cousin's like, yo, what if he looked like Shrek, What if, the brother's like, what if his feet stinks? What if he only makes $7 an hour, And she's like, only thing I need from him is to be God-fearing and for him to want to have children. I said, what? That's the only thing you desire, girl? You don't... What if he's an abuser? What if he... What? You don't need nothing else? Write the vision, make it plain. Write the vision, make it plain. And her brother's trying to tell her, like, you had a lot of deal breakers. You are picky. Like, why do you want to do this process this way? You're doing it the hard way. And I could see that she tends to shut down. She did it in that moment. But as you watch during the season, she shuts down a lot. And in that moment, when he tried to tell her, she shut down. At the wedding, when the cousin was giving off hints, shut down. If it's something Paige don't want to hear or don't want to deal with, she shuts it down. But her brother basically was telling her, girl, you're doing this the hard way. And her cousins was saying, like, it could be a God-fearing man, but he might not end up really being what he's saying he is. There's a difference between saying that you're God-fearing and actually being God-fearing. And there's a lot that comes with that. So, he said that you're choosing the more difficult path. I've been married before, and this was hard. It took years before we got married, and this was hard. Marriage is hard. So, Paige obviously is going to go through with it anyway. So then we have Mr. Chris, the villain of the show. He is 27. He's very successful. He dresses well. You know, I'll give him that stuff. Let's go into the whys. Let's go into the why he decided to go on this show, because a lot of us is trying to figure out why, and I feel like this is important to get us to episode 7. He said that marriage is something that he desired. He said that God knew that I would fail on my own. And he said, you know, when you're doing something wrong, you just pivot and find something else to do. So these are his reasons for wanting to go on Married at First Sight. He wanted somebody that was intelligent, somebody submissive, somebody sexy, somebody good in bed. Oh yeah, and somebody who's a freak. Now you see how these two individuals, he has a lot on his list, but there is it's only one that has substance. Intelligent, submissive, sexy, good in bed, freak. These are the qualities that he told the professionals that he wanted. I mean, as I see it though, Paige is intelligent. She is very submissive. I mean, he obviously likes her body. He thinks her body's sexy, whether he likes her or not. Anyway, he says that he wants to get married. He wants to have 7 kids because he wants to start kind of building his brand. So all of this is really about his business, his brand, and this legacy that he has in his mind that he wants to create. He was homeless at a time. He comes from a line of preachers. He actually was an ordained minister. Ain't that some stuff? Does he act like an ordained minister to y'all? Doesn't act like one to me. And he says that he is very spiritual. He claims he did put that into the qualifications. He wanted somebody that was spiritual. Chris used to be homeless at a time, and then he ended up getting a very great job. He stated that he actually had 2 engagements. So we're talking about the one. But Chris actually was engaged twice. He said that the first engagement was because of, it failed because he wasn't making any money. And the second one is trust issues on both ends. So we know what that means. He said he just got out of it 3 months ago. Whatever. Chris tells his family that he wants to, he's got selected for the site. And when he goes and tells his grandma just rolls her eyes straight up. Look, the family's eyes tell it all. They not about to lie to you. If them facial expressions going to give you what you need, okay? Grandma says, well, just approach it with an open mind. No preconceptions, because I know that's what you tend to do. Okay. So here we are. Now we're at episode number 7. Prior to getting to episode number 7, Chris has told Paige that she is unattractive. Which is crazy to me because, honestly, when I was watching episode 4, Paige was sitting right next to Chris's mom. Paige, to me, looks like Chris's mom. She's just darker. She has the cheekbones. So my cheeks are kind of round. Theirs are square. Look at the facial features. The eyes, squinty eyes, big cheeks, big square jaw. Like, Paige, when she's sitting next to that man's mom, they look alike. They look alike, y'all, to me. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's episode 4 when they're sitting with the family. He's told this woman that she is unattractive. And he has also shared that his ex is pregnant. So that's where we are. At episode 7, the couples are going home. They're supposed to be flying home together. They're supposed to check out each other's homes, and then they'll have a location where they stay until, a certain timeline, and then they decide what they're going to do as far as living arrangements and all of the above. If they're going to stay together, all that stuff. Paige unfortunately had to fly alone, which was incredibly sad to watch. Chris went back to his home in Chicago because he had to clear his mind and get away from his own foolery. Like, I don't understand. What do you have to get away from? You're the one putting her through everything. So Paige was just like, okay, he needed to take a break, so I just flew by myself, but I just really wish that he was here to share this experience with me. It's so sad now to watch Paige, because now by episode 7, that jovial girl, the girl with the beautiful smile, the girl who was excited to be here on Married at First Sight, is now withdrawn. She looks very sad. She has this soft voice that she puts on. And she is just shut down. She's shut down. She's distant. You can tell that Paige has a hard time thinking for herself. It's some people that are extremely book smart, but their social skills are limited, and I question if that's her. And a lot of times, when you're a church kid, like I am, you have so many other people above you trying to tell you how to live your life and how to think, that some of us have a hard time thinking for ourselves and making decisions for ourselves. I was one. I was a Paige. So when I'm talking about this, there's going to be some situations where I tell you, like, I was her at a time. Probably not to the full extent, but some experiences that she's going through, I've been through. It's so sad, the back and forth that he's putting her through. He says she's excellent on paper, but he's used to a trophy wife. And even at the wedding, he told her that she was not a trophy. He told her family that she was not a trophy wife. Who says that to a person? So Paige and Chris have a conversation off camera, which is another thing. If you're on reality TV, why you gotta keep going off camera? What are you doing? What are you up to? That goes to show that you own some BS. Okay, so in that time, that's when he tells her that he wants to go ahead and get a divorce. He wants to be with his ex. He feels like that's the better decision. Then Paige is on the phone. I believe she's on the phone with production, because you can see the phone and it says Paige Banks. And she's like going off. This is the voice that we have never heard. She had been very coy, very shy, very demure. And but on this phone, honey, I'm not gonna put up with this, and he this, and then she cussing, she going off. She's saying all the stuff she was not saying to him, ever. She was not saying any of that stuff to him. And she's like, tomorrow, I'm gonna tell Pastor Cal everything. I'm gonna let him know. And she did. Next day, she meets with Pastor Cal, and they have a whole conversation. Chris has not shown up at this point. She's there by herself. And she proceeds to pretty much tell on Chris. And Pastor Cal pretends like he don't know all this stuff already, but I'm not convinced that he don't already know. But I'm here for the game, His reactions was killing me, y'all. He was like, oh, why did you do that, Paige? Like, Why did you, what? Okay. Paige was really hurt by Chris going to Chicago. She really thought, and then especially like she felt like it was a smack in the face for him to call her and say, "I want to be with my ex," like, which I thought is to be. I find that to be weird. Like, you didn't even suspect at one point that he might have been like, "I want to go with her now since she's pregnant." She said she thought like that he would go and just reflect on the fact that they got married, and he would change his mind and come back to her. I'm like, girl. And she's just like, well, right now I have a lot of things swirling through my head and I just need another opinion. And I'm like, how many opinions do you need? And what is your own opinion telling you? Do you need Pastor Cal to break this up for you? Because honestly, I don't think Paige would have ever broken this relationship up. She would have never did it. The only way this relationship would have had to have ended would be with Chris saying what he said. She would have sat right there in it until he ended it, until he cut the rope. Yeah. So she proceeds to tell Pastor Cal that they've had sex almost every day during this process, which was really blowing my mind. I could see you having sex the first day, maybe because y'all got married and maybe there's a physical attraction there. But he told you he wasn't attracted to you, and you are still having sex with him unprotected every day, darn near. What is going through your mind? But we'll get into that. Pastor Cal asked her, why? Why have you been having sex? She's like, oh, well, he said he wanted to feel close to his partner, and I just didn't want to upset my husband on the first night. Pastor Cal was like, look, that's BS. And he's right. He's right. If you got a pastor on national TV telling you this is BS, girl, it's BS. So when she drops the bomb that they've been having sex with no condom, Pastor Cal's like, well, how are you pregnant? Oh, well, I just started my period. So I'm good in that department. You think you good, girl. You better hope you good, because we know our bodies can be deceiving. Our bodies can be very deceiving. It's to the point where Pastor Cal's like, honey, why? Why are you doing this? Well, his dad was talking about a honeymoon baby. So everything she's doing up till this point during this process is based off the voice of somebody else. Other than wanting to join this. She knew she wanted to be married. That's the only thing she knew. The only thing she knew was, I want to be a wife. Everything else is an internal battle that she can't figure out. She can't decide. So she says when she has sex with him, she does it because it was like her duty. She felt disconnected. And like I said, she didn't want to disappoint her husband. And I'm just like, girl, he's straight up disappointing you on all levels. On all levels. Pastor Cal's he's not even hiding his feelings at all at this point, y'all. He's shaking his head. He's just like, I can't with this. So then Chris comes in and interrupts their meeting, y'all. Chris has sociopathic behaviors. He just gives me the characteristics of a sociopath. He has no sense of empathy. He's extremely manipulative. He lies. he has been honest with some things, but he lies and drags her on with his feelings. I remember being like Paige in the sense of like, well, at least he was honest with me. Well, he didn't lie to me, so you're not getting brownie points for stuff that you should already be doing. Anyway, excuse me, y'all, allergies. So Chris tells Pastor Cal that he's decided to be with his ex. Pastor Cal is asking him, well, why do you want to do that? And he's like, well, it's tough having somebody raise my kid. So basically he's just doing it so he can have control over his baby's mom and so he can have control over his kid. But we all know that never works. And so Pastor Cal's asking him like, well, what about the problems that y'all had when y'all were together? Did y'all fix those? What about those? And he couldn't answer. He really literally could not answer. Well, I haven't figured that part out yet. I bet you haven't, because you just make random decisions. You just jump on decisions and jump on different things to do. During this time, Paige is like talking about how she's a ride or die chick. She's like, I ride for my man. I've dated a man who has kids, so I've been a stepmom before. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. You know, listen, that ride or die kind of love, I don't be knowing what that's about, y'all. I don't know. We gonna have to speak to Tiny, T.I.'s wife, so we can get some insight on that, because you're not gonna just be doing everything and anything. You're just not. So Paige mentions that he dragged her. This fool had the nerve to say, I never dragged her. And that actually would have flew had Pastor Cal not called it out. Like, yes, you did. You emotionally, you told her you wanted her, then you told her you wasn't attracted, then you having sex, you're still having sex with her. Now you telling her you want to get a divorce. Like, you are dragging her emotionally. Pastor Cal was not here for none of this gaslighting situation, y'all. He was not here for it. He wasn't here for it. And I'm glad he was there to protect Paige. But we'll get into more about that. But I'm glad in that moment he was there to help protect Paige and to show Chris his ways, because Chris has the gift of gab, and he's, like I said, he's a master manipulator, so he could get away with this kind of stuff with Paige because she's sitting around confused. Pastor Cal is not with it, and Chris knows that. He told her, Pastor Cal told him, like, you have not made this woman feel admired at all, other than with sex. And you're having sex with her and you're not even attracted to her. Now let me say something, y'all. A man don't have to be attracted to you to have sex with you. He doesn't. Not even in the least bit. I've heard somebody say having sex for a man is like using a toilet. It's as simple as using a toilet. So the way I took that was, I don't use that analogy, but I view it like this. Men of the world, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is how I view it. Sex for a man is like him being cooked a steak. And then he's just choosing what chef he wants that day to prepare and serve the steak. So sex is like steak for a man. He just happened to choose you to cook it. It's a need that that's being met. It's not nothing like he has to like you. He has to love you. He has to be attracted to you. No, he's horny, and he has his needs, and he wants to get them met. He wants to not have blue balls. He wants to get satisfied real quick. He's hungry for a steak. He asked you to cook it. That simple. Don't overthink this, because it's not, they don't have to love you. They don't have to like you. They don't have to be attracted to you to have sex with you at all. Yeah. So he asked, like, well, why did you have sex with her if you weren't attracted to her? And Chris is like, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to talk about it. You had sex with her because she got a big butt. Let's just put it on the table. That's why you did it. You had sex with her because she has a big butt. We know what it is. You already said it on the wedding day. Amongst other things. Like mentioning your ex at the wedding. Twice. And then when Pastor Cal mentions how great of a woman Paige is, Chris comes back with a, well, my fiance is a great woman as well. Go be with her. Why are you here? For what? Go be with her. You keep mentioning her. You haven't made Paige feel admired or desired at all. Go be with her. And to top it all off, so let me scale back a little bit. The ex is 6 weeks pregnant. Chris claims that he went to visit her because her father died, and then they end up having sex. Pastor Cal says, well, how do you know she's pregnant? And he says, well, I seen a pregnancy test, and she went to the doctors and stuff. Alright. And I don't know, y'all, if y'all have been hearing this in the rumor mill, but in the rumor mill and some of the actual podcasts that I've been watching, it says that Chris is lying. That the ex is not even pregnant. And people are showing timelines. They're setting it up like, oh, she would have, they got pictures of her. They taking pictures of her stomach like, oh, she wouldn't be pregnant after they doing a timeline, y'all. So I don't know. It might even come out that Chris's ex is not pregnant and that Chris was lying. Y'all, it's a hotmess.com. Hotmess.com. So after all of that happens, Pastor Kyle was like, look, I can't do this. I don't recommend that they stay together. I'm done with this. And so when he leaves, Chris whispers in Paige's ear, and it's like, I don't know what he was saying to her. It took forever. It seemed like he was saying so much stuff to her. I don't know. Did it seem like a long time to y'all too? And I was actually watching The Bald and the Beautiful, Kevin, Melissa, Angel, and Tank. I love watching their podcast. But they were reviewing this. But they said, like, they mentioned him literally whispering sweet nothing. Like, he really was whispering nothing. Like, nothing. You tell her at this point, oh, well, I hope that I don't fall in love with you. I fear that I'm going to fall in love with you. And Paige, instead of getting angry, instead of checking him, instead of putting him in his place, what she does is say, don't say that to me. I thought this was going to be a clean break. But now I'm even more confused. Paige, honey, what are you confused about? Let me make sure that I have mentioned everything before I get off into these next parts. Yeah. So let's get into how they even got to this point. What's going on with Paige and Chris? People are blaming the experts. They're blaming Pastor Cal, etc., etc. They're saying God didn't put them together because he wouldn't give you nothing more than you can bear and whatever. I don't think this is by chance, y'all. I don't. I think God allowed them to sit in their choices. And sometimes God allows us to sit in our choices. And I think there comes a time when you have to be accountable for the decisions that you make. So there, at this point, Paige has to be accountable for her decision. She has been given a number of red flags. And if she stays any longer, then I can't feel bad for her. This is not a situation where these people have been married for years. If he does not want this, get out of it. You can't force him. And a complaint that a lot of men have with women is that we don't listen. They don't feel heard from us. He's told you. Hear him. Despite what actions he's showing you, he's a man. He's going to try to get his needs met. We're all trying to get our needs met. But he's not going to leave you. Even though he said, I'm leaving you. You could tell by the end, they decided to get up and leave, and then she still stands there and he drives off. That shows me that she's going to be available to him when he needs her to be. They might even still be having sex. And she would have still been there had he not broke it off. Listen to what he's telling you. Just because you want a husband does not mean that he wants a wife. Even if he's pretending to. And then I'm having a hard time. I'll get into that in a minute. I absolutely think that this was God ordained. And I'm going to tell you why. I think God lets us sit in our choices. And when we make a decision, he doesn't always stop the decision that we've made. I'm having a hard time wondering why they think this is biblical. Or why they think they're following God by doing this. Because, I mean, maybe not on Chris's part. But the Bible speaks of the man finding a wife. When he finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So you signing up for Married at First Sight, Paige, was not the man finding a wife. So I'm trying to understand you, because to me, I feel like you wanted to take this under control. You wanted to take control of your love life. And then you prayed that God would be a part of it. That's what I think, personally. I don't think this is something that God necessarily wanted you to do. But I do think that now that you're in it, here we go. Because I think that sometimes we go through things to help. Sometimes we have to be broken down in order to be built up. So we go through things to grow us up. We go through things to mature us. We go through things so that later we can be stronger if we come out of it. We go through things so we can find our self-esteem, so we can find our self-worth, our self-respect, so we can find our voice. Paige does not have a voice. I don't know who stripped her of her voice. She doesn't have a voice. And her sense of discernment is off in these cases. And when I talk about this, I'm not talking from a place of judgment, because I've been her. I've been her. I've been manipulated. I've been told that I wasn't attractive. I've been told that they're going to be with their baby's mom. And I still stuck around for those situations. So I've been her. I'm hoping that in this she finds her voice. I'm hoping that in this she figures out who she is. I hope in this she gains some boundaries and some self-respect. And that it helps to mold and cultivate and shape her into being the wife that she might be one day to the man that God sends her. To be her forever partner, to be her purpose mate. Alright, so there's some things I want to get into that I haven't discussed about this. So, as a church kid, I can relate to some different things. Like I said, I've been Paige before. I've been Paige on a number of occasions, for many years actually. Dealt with the whole baby's mama thing, the manipulation, the I want to be with you, I don't want to be with you type of thing. It's such a push-pull. I did that opposite. Push-pull. That's what it is. And so, what if God didn't tell you to be in this? What if God didn't tell you to do this? Sometimes we think God is telling us to do something and we're wrong. What about that? Is that an option? Because some people think that God is telling them to do something and it's just they going off a feeling or an idea in their brain. How do you know that this is what God told you to do? Or sometimes God tells us to do something and we think it's for a certain purpose. Like maybe God told her to do this show, but it wasn't so that you could have a forever partner from this show. This situation is for the Paiges of the world. The current Paiges and the former Paiges. We need to watch this because this is emotional abuse at its finest. It's manipulation, it's gaslighting, it's lying. You know, it's dragging. It's so many levels. I feel like I'm watching this for a reason. And I do believe that sometimes God will allow some of us to go through things, especially publicly, sometimes, because it's going to help others. I don't know. She had this idea that she was made for marriage. And some of us, the way we're conditioned in the church, as a church kid, as a female in the church, a lot of us do have that I was made for marriage. And we think that's our only purpose. And that's not always our only purpose. Some women are. I think to be married, and for those who don't know, I'm a single woman, no kids. I think to be a wife and mother is a gift. It's a gift. In order for you to be able to do that and do it well, because marriage is ministry, it's a gift. But just because it's a gift doesn't mean that you are automatically going to get that. It's not written in everybody's story to be married. I don't know. Some people believe there's somebody for everybody. I don't. I think that we, especially as women, need to find contentment in where we are. We need to find God in where we are not right now. And we can have desires and we can have wants. But do you love God now? And will you be okay spiritually if you never get those things that you thought you were going to have, if it goes a different way? A little transparency moment. I'm 35. Like I said, I'm single. But now I have infertility problems. I always thought I would have kids late 20s, early 30s. now I'm faced with, I may not be able to have children. Now, I know who I serve, and I know he can do all things. But I want to also be mindful that that might not be written in my story. So I want to be okay with him and okay with my life in the event that it doesn't go the way I've always envisioned it to go. And so with her having a mindset that I want to please God, that I want to honor my husband, that I want to honor my vows to God, that I've done these things, I was purposed for this. I was cultivated for this. Her sticking around is because of that conditioning, because of that mindset. She's trying to stick through something when the reality is he does not want this. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. I hope that Paige grows from this. I hope that Paige grows from this. I know she's going to break down. I hope it's not too severe. I hope it's not permanent. I also hope Chris learns from this. I hope he grows from this. Because this needs to be exposed. His behavior absolutely needed to be exposed. Because that would be his only hope for change. That's my personal opinion. Then I question also, in a process like this, you want, if you're, as a Christian, you want somebody that's equally yoked. How do you know that that's what's gonna happen? You thought this was just gonna be, I don't know. I hope to God she is not pregnant. I really hope to God she's not pregnant. Yeah. All right, let's get into the others. And then if I think of anything more to say about them, I will. Girl, Paige. At this point, girl, you are at fault. You've been told. So once you've been told, you got to do something about it. You ain't got to ask no bunch of people's opinions. Okay? Find your voice. Find your self-confidence. Find your self-worth. It's sad that we have this ideology that we have to go through, that pain is associated with joy. And in order for us to make it to that other side, then we must go through the worst of the worst. And then sometimes that's true, but that ain't always true. You don't have to sit there and be abused. You don't have to stay there. Once you figure it out, it's your responsibility to go. And then I don't understand why Paige and Chris have to sit down with this new girl. Paige, for what? What y'all about to talk about? But I'm thinking that it's because they are under, from what I keep hearing, they're under contract. If they get a divorce, they're going to owe lots of money. They're going to be sued if they get a divorce prematurely. So I believe this is so that they can honor their obligations to the show and to the process. So even though he's talking to a lawyer, they're still going through this process of the show. But I hate this for Paige. But sometimes I think that these terrible things are necessary. Unfortunately, God will allow us to go through some horrific things sometimes. But his will be done, and you will be okay. And you will get the victory after it's over. But don't think that you are exempt, girl. All right, the others. So we got Jacob and Haley. I feel so bad for Jacob. I think Jacob really actually wants to be married and wants to be in a relationship, and he was taking this process seriously. And although he's an 80s lover, I hope he finds somebody, because this is not going to work. Haley, to me, is the worst kind of liar. She might be worse than Chris. Only because I say, Chris has been telling us. He's been telling us the truth. Haley will smile in your face and act like everything's cool when it's not. And those are the type of individuals I have no respect for. She's been smiling in this man's face. She's had sex with him. And he's showing her his life. He's being open, and she is lying. Smiling in his face. Up till now. So, we'll see what happens. Brianna and Vincent. So, there's a term called love bombing. I feel like that's Vincent. He's so head over heels right in the early beginning part of their relationship. There's no like, let me feel this out. Let me see. He's just like, I'm going to be everything she needs. She's going to be everything I need. We're going to like, just chill out and see how it goes. What happened to that? And also now his temper is being exposed. And I want to know how far that goes. Because for him to get so upset from her saying, that's so Vinny of you, him taking that as her taking a personal attack on him, and calling him stupid when she never said any of that stuff, that goes to show you he has some emotional problems there. And he's coming from a place of trauma with her. And I question if she will ever be able to turn that off, because at this point Brianna has a smart mouth. She's had one for many years, well into adulthood, so much so that they mentioned it multiple times that she's bossy. She got a, multiple times, even at the wedding. She is comfortable in speaking to people this way, and he feels like this is a sign of disrespect. So I feel like and I'm glad she's saying she wants to work on it. I hope she can. But I'm feeling like at some point, she's going to be back in her comfort zone of just speaking however. And he's going to blow up on her. And I just want to know what that looks like. We'll see. We will see. And can I just say that I hated Brianna's hair at that wedding? It was horrible. And I know mine ain't. My hair is old right now, but for a wedding, Erica and Veronica, and from what I hear, they're calling Veronica Vodka, the drunkard. So I feel horrible for Eric as well. He really seemed like he really was about this process, and he really wanted to find love, and he really wanted to make it work. And Virginia is not ready to be in a relationship, especially not a marriage. She's young and she's immature, and then this is part of her personality as well. She's a party girl. She's a flighty girl. She wants to be drunk. She wants to hang out several nights a week. She wants to spend the night at male friends' houses without him saying a word to her about it. Why do you want to be married? And as I was watching episode 1, Virginia wants to be married because she has abandonment issues. She wants somebody to just be there. So just like her doggy. Like, girl, that's not what a marriage is. So I don't know if they're going to be able to make it work. The only way they will is going to take a lot of compromise from the both of them. But I really do feel bad for Eric, because I believe he's one of the people that would be great for this type of experience. I feel like he's a great guy, and he deserves a good woman, and unfortunately he got someone that is a drunk. So if she can recognize the error of her ways, then maybe they can make it work. But right now she's pretty bullheaded. I do feel for her though, because it's going to be hard for Eric to find somebody, because, it's one thing to date somebody who's a pilot, who's gone several days out the week. But then when y'all are married and y'all plan to have kids, it's like you're a single mom, because he can't be there. So that's the part that I do feel for Virginia on. I'm like, can you do that? What's that gonna look like? Because I don't know. Clara and Ryan. Clara is very passionate. She feels like she's gonna fall in love with Ryan. However, Ryan has never stated that he's loved someone ever. He doesn't even know what that is. And Pastor Cal broke it down to him that love is not a feeling. It's a commitment that you make. It's a choice. And so that helps him to kind of get a different idea, which makes sense to me, especially for like those who aren't as in touch with their feelings. I could see how that would now make sense because he's turned it into something, logical. Took the feeling out of it. So I think they could make it. I hope they do. I like them together. We will see. He's taking things super slowly. And I just think, like, if you're going to take things this slow, why did you go on this show? But maybe this is another instance where it's like, I know I got my BS. Let me just marry somebody. So we ain't got to go through the dating process. Because we might not make it through the dating process because I'm a jerk. Nah, I don't think he's a jerk. I think he's a good guy, though. Alright, I think I might be done. Let me glance over my notes, y'all. I feel like I done said everything I could say about these situations. But I just feel like Paige and Chris is not there by chance, y'all. This is not being exposed just by chance. Like, just because you get married, that doesn't mean that you're a robot. That doesn't mean women, we're not on this earth only to be married and have kids. If that's what you want, that's great. Sometimes he's calling us for more. Are you going to answer if he is? Are you going to answer if are you still going to love God if you're wrong? If you thought your purpose was this and it turns out that it's this? I think I said everything. Yeah, y'all go back to episode 4. Let me know. Do y'all think Paige looks like Chris's mom? I do. I think they have similar features. Let me know what y'all think. Alright, I'm out. Write, subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. Let me know what y'all think about the show. I can't wait to hear you guys and your opinions and your thoughts. And I believe that's everything. Oh, there's something else. Also on Bold and the Beautiful, Melissa Fredericks mentioned toxic faith. Now, who knew that something like faith could be toxic? Apparently it can be. Apparently it can be. And that goes back to that space of what if things don't work out the way you think that they're supposed to? Are you open? Are you looking at your situation with trauma colored glasses? Toxic faith could possibly be a thing here when it comes to the Chris and Paige situation. Paige specifically. Faith so strong that you're willing to literally go through abuse. Is there a cutoff? Where's the line drawn? When is it time to reroute? I don't know. I definitely think that sometimes you'll go through things. God will definitely make you go through things so that you will change. And anger and hurt brings about change sometimes, unfortunately. Let me know what y'all think. I'm out. This is your girl Sherelle Unique.